They are invited to.
Obviously what we've seen there is something that has been widely mentioned in the Daily Mail, and particularly by Christopher Booker in the Daily Telegraph, a total stitch-up of an utterly corrupt family court.
Oh really? So what happened?
Well, I can only tell you so much, but we made certain points to the judge, asked for certain orders to be made, and the judge, Justice Pauffrey, who I've already made a formal complaint about before this case, actually rejected everything that we said, despite the fact that that Shropshire Council have provided false documents to the court, and I pointed those out, and she claimed that she didn't know anything about them. So this is the standard of justice in the family courts. It needs to be sorted out, it needs to be dealt with, and we've seen another perfect example of the corruption there of the family courts. It's disgraceful, but we're going to take them on and we will sort them out for sure.
Oh no, good for you. So basically the case is going ahead for...
It's going ahead. The main discussion was over the use of a medical expert who is not, we believe, is not sufficiently qualified in any way, but the judge has completely disregarded that, and we were only given the name of this person today. The judge wanted us to make a decision straight away, which was ridiculous because we knew nothing about this. It flies in the face of any justice, and I do think that Mrs. Justice Pauffrey has today shown what a disgrace she is to her profession, and the fact that family courts have got to be dealt with as a matter of urgency. Nobody cares about Hollie, who is in great distress today because of all the things that were going on. The judge and all the rest of it couldn't give a damn about the likes of Hollie. They're all only interested in their social worker friends and the people who are on the make and the corrupt individuals who work within the family court system.
So you're very upset, obviously, aren't you?
Yes, I'm angry about this because it's not unexpected, but I would hope that at some point the Minister for Justice, Mr. Kenneth Clarke, will address this terrible problem in the family courts. It's been widely aired. We're not just talking about Hollie's case. There are hundreds of cases that we hear about all the time where these appalling stitch-ups take place in a secret court that have no place in the British judicial system.
Do you think the judge has a funny handshake?
I have no idea. It's a lady, by the way. I wouldn't know that. All I can go is what I hear and what I see today, and we're very angry about it.
How did things change to how you expected it to go in what sense today?
Well, we didn't really know what to expect, quite honestly. It was one of those situations where we really did not know what was coming. I have to say that I did not even get the bundle from Shropshire Council until about 30 minutes prior to the hearing today. So I had no chance to even look at all the documentation. This is the way things happen in Britain in the family courts. And
I heard that it was going to be about Anne, and now it's about Hollie. Is that
well, it's always about Hollie, really. Anne is improved. It's about Hollie's capacity, which I think everybody knows that is what it's about. Hollie, of course, has been found to have capacity. She's had many tests, and in fact, on the 8th of September 2009, Hollie, as many people know, had a 3.5-hour interview by Grampian Police in Shrewsbury, in which she handled the case completely by herself for 3.5 hours, bravely and magnificently. And who was there but Shropshire Social Services had a person witnessing that particular interview that she handled so magnificently. Now, if Hollie didn't have capacity on the 8th of September 2009, how can there be any question about it now? They would have had to intercede if they did not think it was true.
So what are they trying to do today?
Well, they're trying to delay this. It's a directions thing, so there's going to be just a delay until at least November. But obviously we're looking at our options legally to see if we can perhaps have a judicial review or other appeals through human rights, because there's no question that Hollie's human rights have been trampled on by these vicious people in the family courts and the corrupt councils like Shropshire Council, who will do anything to protect the terrible ring who are operating in Scotland. There's very close connection between Scotland and Shropshire. Shropshire repeatedly refused to disclose who was giving them the information. We have a pretty good idea, but obviously with things moving as they are in Scotland, especially if Sir Ming Campbell now is beginning to look into it, and other politicians, we should have some good results, some tangible results. I'm angry because it's just what I expected from the family court, but I do hope that in spite of all this, that improvements will be made. We'll have justice for Hollie, justice for all the other victims, and justice for all the victims of the corrupt family court system. That's important because there are hundreds and thousands of poor mothers and poor children who've been betrayed by what happens in the Royal Courts of Justice today. The case came about after we were beginning to get the Hollie story into the public domain, and Shropshire Council claimed, we know they were collaborating with a known felon who does not know Hollie and has never met Anne either, and they decided that Hollie was upset because she was going to meetings and where lots of people came and supported her and were very nice to her, and she loved them all. But these dreadful people who do not know Hollie at all claimed that she was being distressed by this, and this was causing her problems, and Hollie wasn't capable of deciding for herself whether she wanted to go to such meetings or not. I think anybody, and many people have met Anne and Hollie at meetings all over the country, and I think every single person will say, was Hollie distressed? No, she loved it. She's so pleased that people cared, even though it's an awful story. She was so pleased that people wanted to listen to her, and it made her very happy and very comforted indeed. This is what Shropshire Council and the corrupt people in the family courts want to stop.
How's the campaign going apart from that?
Well, we're very pleased with the campaign at the moment. I think this is a measure of the desperation of the people concerned who are trying to block it in every single way. Of course, in Scotland, we found, obviously, the Freedom of Information Commissioner has found that Shropshire Council have lied today, but Justice Pauffrey doesn't seem to think that the council lying is of any relevance to the case. However, we are obviously making real progress in Scotland, where the Freedom of Information Commissioner has confirmed that 6 very pertinent questions that have been put to the Scottish ministers and to Alex Salmond in particular have been rejected. He has put this in writing. He was told verbally by the Scottish ministers that they would have the questions put to him would have a response by the 20th of May. No response came. He has now made the statement that if he does not have satisfactory replies from the Scottish ministers, which is particularly the First Minister Alex Salmond, by the 11th of July, then he will pursue with the Court of Session to have a contempt of court order made against the Scottish Government. And that should mean that that will be the end of Alex Salmond and the corrupt people who have supported the former Lord Advocate Elise Angelini, who has made false statements about Hollie and also embezzled public funds.
He's about to take over the Scottish Parliament, isn't he?
Well, he has taken over the Scottish. He's the big man now. He's won the election by a comfortable majority. He's got before he had to kind of work with other parties because he didn't have an overall majority. He has now. Well, we hope that might change things for the better, because I wrote to him. I put an olive branch out and said, look, let's have bygones be bygones. I'm only interested in the perpetrators and the people who are most closely associated in covering up for the story. Other people, which would probably include himself and Justice Minister Kenneth McCaskill, are prepared to draw the line if he was to come forward and say, yes, there are serious problems with this case, that we should have a public and open independent review, and if in a spirit of goodwill, I would have given a little bit of time for that to take place. But obviously he's not interested in that. He just thinks he can ride roughshod over Scotland and all the people whose rights, the vulnerable people of Scotland. I think he doesn't care about those people at all. I think it's quite transparently true that is the case.
So are you going back in? Is there more to...
Well, that's the... That's the way, yes, they're all out today. They're not coming for me, are they? Shall I
No, but I tell you what. Well, thanks very much, Robert.
It's a pleasure. Nice to talk to you.
Nice to speak to you.
Thank you.
Good luck with everything.
Indeed. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.